Alright YouTube, in this video we are going to see how to create this advanced to-do list with HTML, CSS and JavaScript from scratch. Now you can see this is an advanced to-do list. The reason for saying it's advanced is because let me just give my task to-do task, learn after FX, click on enter and learn Laravel, click enter and learn make JS video and then upload JS video. So now these are the tasks that I need to do right now. As of now I have completed the make JS, so I'll click on this and it's completed, and I say I have uploaded the JS video, and if I click on it and it says it is completed. Now as of now it's showing all the tasks. If I click on pending, only the pending task which is not completed it shows up. Again on the completed filter which is completed it shows up. If I click on all, as we know I have made the JS video and I wish to delete this from the list. Click on delete, and not to forget, even if the page is getting refreshed, these all values are stored in local storage. I'm refreshing the page, you can see it's getting stored on the local storage. Now I have changed my mind and I want the Laravel to get edited. Click on edit, and instead of learning I want to make Laravel video. If I click on enter, you can see already there is a task and I'm updating the task. The reason for if I click on this, I have updated this in this way. So if I click on enter, so now it got updated. Instead of creating the new value, it got updated. Even if I click on page refresh, it is going to remain the same. Now this is completed. Now you can see this is completed and this is trending and this shows all. If I click on deleted, only two tasks is there, one is on pending and one is on completed. And if you completed all and you wish to clear the task, you can click on this and click clear, and now we can start fresh. As I said, this is my 80-second video. In case if you want to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, JavaScript from scratch, I would recommend you to start from episode 1 and reach till here. This is episode number 82, and each of the project has source code in the description box. As always, I leave this source code in the description in case if you got stuck somewhere, just copy paste the code and start along with me. Now let's get started. Alright, let me just show you my document setup. I have a HTML file, CSS file and JavaScript file in the folder called to-do list, which you will see in the source code which you have downloaded. Now let me just show you the HTML. The main thing that we need is we need the wrapper class. The first section is going to be the input field. Let me just show you. And this input field is inside the container called task input, and inside the task input we have a font awesome icon, and then we have a text field. Then followed by that we have the buttons, which you can see it as a filters. We have 3 filters. So these filters are inside the class called containers, and inside the container we have 3 spans with ID all, pending and completed. Now inside the controller we have one more button which is clear. So as you can see, this is the parent. We have 2 siblings. The first one is filter and the second one is a button, and inside the filter we have 3 different filters. And finally the list item, which will be appending through the JavaScript. I'll just show you the basic HTML, and you can see inside the UL list we have a list item, and this list item will be of multiple. We can have multiple list item once we append into the JavaScript, once we append with the help of JavaScript. And in the label we have, so in the list item we have a label, and the label ID, sorry, the labels for attribute is going to be the same as label ID attribute, so that if I click on the label, if I click on the label, the checkbox will get activated. That's the reason I have written the paragraph inside the label and linked the ID with the for. If that doesn't make sense, I would want you to repeat the uh, I will want you to go back 30 seconds and listen to what I said. Now I have a settings, and this is going to be the three dots, and I have added the font awesome icon. As of now, your HTML is going to be very straightforward. You'll be just having these number of elements, and as I said, this is going to be multiple, 1 2 3. Now if I click on the paragraph, you'll see, since the ID is same, that's why it's not getting activated. You can see, you can make this 2 and this also 2, and we don't need 3 as of now, just to give you an example. Now if I click on the paragraph, you'll see the checkbox getting activated. The same is true for the first list item as well. Cool. Now for the CSS, I have added the font awesome font family, which is Google's font, which is Poppins, and I have added 3 variation, 300, 500 and 600. If you don't want, you can skip that. Now for all the element, I have removed the margin and padding, and added the font awesome Go Poppins. Fine. Now let's get into the CSS. Additionally, with the HTML, I have just added this div, which has edit item, and the paragraph. We can convert this to unordered list as well. And this has list item. Fine, let's get started with CSS. I have written the CSS hierarchy now. Now I have chosen this phallus to be for our theme. Now for the body, let the height be 100% of viewport height. Let the width be 100% of viewport width, and display flex align item center, justify content center. So what these 3 line of code does is, whatever is there inside the body as a main container, now it's wrapper, it will make them to come at the center. Cool. Width is going to be 100% of viewport width. And now let's choose the background color for the body. Now this is how it looks. And for the wrapper color, let me just choose this. Let's give the width of the wrapper as 500 pixel, and let's choose the background color to be this, just to see how does it looks. And anytime we can rearrange this. Let this come there, and let's just make this light color as our wrapper, and let's give padding. Don't forget to close with semicolons or it will show an error. Padding top and bottom 15 pixel, left and right 15 pixel. For the input task, let the width be 100%, and let this be position relative. So the in I tag, I'll use position absolute, and let the width and height, let the height of the input field be 50 pixel. The reason for input div, reason for giving this is, I'm going to give the width and height same as the container. Height 100%, width 100%, and remove the border, remove the outline, and place the I tag at the center. So top of 50%, left of 15 pixel, to make it perfectly center. So we need to write transform translate y 50%. for both. Since we have used position left, let me just, I think the problem is with the top. We can position relative. We can just anytime check the inspect. You can manually place it if anything goes wrong. Okay, it should be negative. Since it's 15, we can make this 25. And we have to give the same padding value to the input field. Let's just make this 30 so that the both doesn't get overlapped, as you see now. We need to increase it by 40. Cool. We can change the color to something like this for the input field. And for the color of the input field. If you want, you can make this bold. Cool. Now let's design the controls. So the controls, we have the button and the span items. So we can simply make display flex, justify content space between, align item center, height of 50 pixel. And for the span, we can have margin right of 20 pixel, margin left of 20 pixel, and for the button, let me just remove the border outline and let's have padding top bottom 10 pixel, left and right 20 pixel. So this is how it looks. If you want, you can change the color of these to green for the span elements. And for the button of the color as well. Background. Color be white. Don't forget to give hash. It's a hex value. We can have the filter width 100%, and let's have a margin top of 10 pixel so that we get some space between the filter div and this div. For the span, let's make this pointer as cursor as pointer, and which is once it, so if the span has the class active, let the color be green, or else let that be black. So we'll choose one span and give the class active, or in other word we can rearrange or play with the color. Let the darkest color for this, let's give darkest color to this fan, and rest of the color let that be white blue. Copy, cool. We can have text transform, capitalize, and now for the list items, margin top 15 pixel. This is unordered list. As I said, I have changed the class name for the list item and the unordered list. So the unordered list has a task class called taskWask, and the list item has task list. Now for the task list, which is actually unordered list, so list style none. So display flex, whatever is there, it should be display flex. As of now, let me just hide the task menu, sorry, edit menu, so we won't get any problem with the results. So the label has paragraph and the input button, so display flex, and justify content space between. Don't forget to give width or else it won't work. Cool. And let's see what's the problem. Label input field. Okay. The problem is that the settings and the label are inside task list. So task list should have this property. And again, the label also should have display flex, and the input should have margin right of 10 pixel, some space between the, and you can make user select none for the paragraph, so we won't be able to select, we will be just able to click. Cool. You can change this color or increase the font size. Font size 110%, 120%, 126. You can make this even bigger by making it 150% of font size, and we can play with the color. And for the paragraph as well, we can change the color or make it a little darker. Let's see what color we have missed. Almost we have covered all. If you want to increase the size, you can make this font size a bit larger. We have to find the list item, it's here. Font size, it's not giving suggestion, it's because we don't have semicolon here. On 50%. Cool. Now let's make this menu work. edit menu. So the settings should have cursor pointer. So we need to style that. Refresh this. This is how it looks. For the task menu, let the background be white. For the list item, let the list style be none. And let's have padding top bottom 10 pixel, left and right 15 pixel. And you can play with the color. For the color, and if we hover on the list item, let's change the background color to green. And we can play with the eye and the text. Cool. Now for the edit task menu, let the transform scale property be 0. So we'll do one more thing. We'll duplicate this list item one more time. And for the task menu, let's have position absolute, and setting is the container of the task menu, so it should have position relative. And for the task menu, let's give the width of 150 pixel. Let the height for the list item 50 pixel. So now you see we can able to see this. And Z index 1, I can make this 2, and for the list item, let the Z index be 1. Now this should only show, the edit menu should only show once we hover on this setting. Once I hover on the setting, I want the edit menu to show up. But how it will show up? It's already showing up. We'll reduce the scale to 0. We have we'll play with the scale. Let the edit menu have transform property and scale be 0, and once I hover on it, I want the scale to be 1. You can see once I hover on it, I can able to have the edit menu of each list item. Let's just add the height fee somewhere like 100%, 100 pixel. I don't think it's for the edit item, but for the list item of the task, yeah, it's the task list, we can have border bottom 1 pixel solid white, and let the height be 50 pixel. Why it's it not showing up? That's the reason. You can make this 3. You can make this black or dark green. One pixel is enough. Since we have given height, we need to play with the align items center, and let's just make this 0.5, 0.2, except the last child, colon last child, it should not have the border bottom. Cool. You can increase the height as well. 60. Cool. Hover on it. Now, since we have position absolute on the task menu, edit menu, we can make this overlap with the edit button. So top minus 50 pixel. So now you will see it will get little overlapped. Instead of minus 50, you can make this 30. So we can play with the left as well. Minus 10%, 30%. Yeah, we have not refreshed it. Minus 100, minus 200. So it's taking the width. So the movement is too fast. We can make this slow by using transition only on transform 1 second, and transform origin top left. We can make this 0.2 second. .5 second, and again for the hover we can have transition 0.5s. Cool, that's for the CSS part. Let's focus on JavaScript. Now let's use JavaScript to store values into the local storage. Now the local storage value can be checked into the application local storage and click on this file, and here you will see the local storage. So let me just remove this. Cool. Now let's start creating it. We need to get the input field value. So to get the input field value, we need to give an ID, or we can simply call with the help of CSS selector. So get into the JavaScript document dot query selector. We have a div inside the div we have a input field. Now we can store this input field value to a variable. So we'll have a event listener, add event listener, which is going to be keyup. Keyup, what it will do is whenever I type something, you will see the value getting displayed on console.log to show the value. We'll pass the e here. Now if I click on console and whatever I type, I should be able to see e.target.value. I should see the value on the console. Cool, that's working. Now along with that, if I type space, it will accept the space as well. I don't want that, so trim. So if I type something, I click space and type something, and if there is space at the end or at the top, it will get removed. So now you will see the space at the top, at the start of the letter got removed. It's because of this trim function. Instead of e.target, we can directly access it with the input field value as well. My name, space, again some value, and if I have space over here and type again, you'll see the space at the front got erased because of the trim value. Cool, that works. Now let's just store this value into a variable input value. Now what we need to do is we need to only paste when if user clicks on enter. To get the value e.key. If it is enter, capital E, if it is enter, then console the value, show the value on the console. Click enter, and now you see once I click on enter, only then it's getting saved. Logged on the console. Now now we need to store this value into the local storage. So let's just define a variable called to-dos, and if there is any variable already present on the local storage, we'll get that with the help of this is a local storage. This is the fixed keyword from JavaScript, and we need to get item, and we would be passing the key value. So the key we'll be setting is to-do list, and if the to-do list is not empty, if the to-do list doesn't exist, then create a variable called to-dos and store array value. And then what we need to do is we need to create a variable. We need to create an object, input object, and this object will have name value pair, name something, and one more thing what we can have is the status. It's a name value pair, so key value and status. By default, let that be always pending, and for the name we'll pass the input field value because it's going to be the task. Cool, it's a comma. Now we need to push this value into the array. To-dos dot push the object. Once we push that, we need to store that value into the local storage. Local storage dot set item. To set the item, we need to pass the key for the local storage. The key for the local storage is this, and the value is going to be the array. But the problem is the array, it won't accept the array as it is. I'll just show you the other way, but let's just see whether we are able to print the values on the uh, application tab. Where is the application? Local storage. Let's just refresh this. So there is no value. If I type, click enter, you'll see the object is getting saved perfectly as we thought. But as I said, it won't accept the value array, so we need to convert it to string. So JSON.stringify. Now if I type something, click enter, there seems to be an error. To do the push is not a function. As I said, to do .push is not a function because the value is already saved. Where is it? In the application tab. In the application tab, the value is already there. So we are creating array only when there is no local storage item. If the local storage item is present, then what we would do? So we are not getting, it's because it's not able to identify this as well. So again, JSON.parse. So for, let's just use JSON.stringify here. We are passing the array, we are converting the array to string, and to convert the string to array, we use JSON.parse. Now the array will be converted to, now the string will be converted to array, and we will be able to access the array, and there won't be this issue saying that the to do is not defined. As I said, the to do will be only defined when there is local storage item set, not set. Now let's refresh again. Application tab. Let's just see. After fx, enter. Okay, we need to remove this because it's we know it's an array, but it's not able to. It's the JavaScript does not able to see what actually it is. Now refresh it. Click enter. Okay, the value is not getting. The value is not able to save. Input object. Input value. So to debug, we can just console this, console dot log, and print the message. Refresh it, type something, click enter. Okay, the value we'll be able to print on the console, but let's just see whether we will be able to see it on the let's just debug together just to understand. Enter. To-do.push is not defined. To-do is not defined. So it's not able to identify this. Let me just have this together. Application, clear, enter. This is an object. Our object is created. You can see the object is created and array is also created, but while pushing to do list, okay, it need to be set item, I'm sorry for that. We should only pass the to-dos. So while copy pasting there is an error. After Effects. So once I enter, once the value is saved, we need to make the input field value as blank. Again, Laravel, click enter. Now we can see we have two values, Laravel and After Effects. Refresh this. React.js, click enter. So React.js is also getting entered, but this value is not getting erased. It's because we need to, I think we need to manually set the value to blank. Then what else? We have Angular, click enter. So once it's saved, the Angular got saved, and you can see the value from the input field got erased. So we are able to save the values into the local storage. Now we'll see how to fetch these value and show over here. Now let's update the code with where the once the data gets stored on the local storage, we want to set these values over here. So let's do that. So now let's create a function called show data HTML, and we need to define this function. It's always recommended to have the function calling at the end. So now we need to get the values from the local storage. We will paste it over here, and we'll see, since this is an array, since this is an object with have multiple arrays, we can use forEach. ForEach will have two things. The first, we can have the actual data to do, and then ForEach will have ID. Since we have object, if the object has three arrays, these three arrays will have unique ID, which is assigned by the ForEach. So now let me just console.log the ID and to do. Refresh. There seems to be an error. Syntax error on line number 5. Okay, we cannot write the forEach in this way. So it's a callback function, parentheses, and then this value. So let me just edit this. This should be the actual parameter, and this way. See, each of them has a unique ID, and we can access the name and status. So if you want just name, you need to pass name. If you want just status, you can pass status. Or if you want an actual array, we need to pass the whole array. Cool. So we are able to get this. Now we need to get the container which holds the task list. So let's just define that. Duplicate a slime. So this is the task box, which is unordered list. Now let me just delete the already present value and call this. Since we are able to retrieve it, let me create a list item, and we are going to append it plus equal to, and use the tilde and just paste the HTML value as it is. Now we are just going to replace the value with the name and index. So this is ID, it's a unique one, so we can give ID to the input field and use it as a label, and for the paragraph to do dot name. Let me just refresh this. So there is not we just need to append this. Just call the UL list and use the inner HTML property of JavaScript and just append this list item. List item is not defined. We can just define it. Let list item equal to blank as of now. So don't forget to give plus equal to. Yes, you got all the 4 values which you have entered starting from 0. Now you can delete this and refresh it. Now if I type something, what is left? So in design, click enter. So it got saved into the applications tab, but it's not showing up. So what we need to do is we need to call once the data got saved into the local storage. Once the data got saved into the local storage, and we need to call the function again. ILLUSTRATOR. Click enter, and now you'll see the problem is it got appended again 2 times. Illustrator is there, but it got appended 2 times. So let's see how to fix that. So I feel it's because of this. Let's just face this outside of the list item and try. And on page load, I think I have removed it while debugging. Let me add it again. On page load, there's an error. List item is not defined. Error on line number 26. Okay, we have defined it inside forEach. Scope issue. We got all. Let me try one more thing, which is click enter, and yes, you are able to add. Let me just remove this all and refresh it again. We should get an error as expected because the show data is not defined on line number 7. To do is not defined, I guess. Let's try this inside. Yes, again we get the error. Since we have deleted all the to-dos from the list item, there is not going to be any to-dos. So what we need to do is we need to have a if condition. So if there is any to-dos, then only display or parse it into the HTML, or else leave as it is. Since we do not have any to-do, it's not going to show up. So let me just type, click enter, and type, click enter, and we are able to see that. And now if I click on the radio button, this task should get completed. So for that, let me just create a class. So we have we need to find the paragraph where it is. So let me just directly get into the CSS, and over here task box. So here, yes, we have a paragraph here. Let me just copy this. If this paragraph has class checked, then text decoration need to be line through. We'll be adding this class once the radio button is checked. So get into the script. So here we have an input field. So let me add a Onclick event. Onclick update update status, and we'll be passing this. Cool, let me just create this function. We have the input field, so here it's actually the input field. Let me just console and log and show you. Console.log. So if I click on the radio button, we'll receive the input field because it's where the update button is set. Click on the radio button. Unexpected identifier on line number 58. Actually, let me just, I think I have a problem here. Click on console and it will be activated once I click on this. So this is the syntax. I think I have pass this. Actually the error was with the template literal. I'm just directly passing this value. So now I am able to get the input field. Now what we need to do is we can get the ID of the input field, and we need to parse through from input field we need to get into the paragraph. Input field dot parent element, input field dot parent parent element dot last, I think last element child. By this I will be able to parse through the paragraph. Yes, I can. Now you can see once I click it, I'm getting the paragraph. And now if input field is checked, then get into the paragraph and add class list dot add, which is we have created right now, checked. Else make this, sorry, remove the checked. If it is checked, you will see the line through. If it is not checked, the line through is removed. Cool. Now we need to update the local storage. Once we click on to-do list, that means it got updated. Sorry, that means it got completed. Now what we need to do is we need to get the to-dos. So you can see we can get the to-dos here since we have defined at the top. To-dos, we can access it with the help of ID. Since each input field have an ID which we have used from the forEach, so you can see this is ID 0. We can access the ID. So since we have the ID, now we can get the status of it. Let me just show you with the console so that we can have an actual understanding. Console.log, refresh it, console. Now since I have added console here, we don't need this. Since if I have added the console here, now we need to get the status. It says pending, and if it is pending, we need to update it as completed. COM. If it is completed, if the checked is removed, then we need to make this pending. And that itself is not enough. We need to update the local storage as well. So we have updated the local storage or the dot set item. Yes, this way. We are updating the local item with the help of key. and this key is coming from here, and we are passing the modified to-do list, which we have received it as an array on page load. Refresh it. Now if you see, if I click on After Effect, you will see the status will get converted to pending, completed. If I remove it, it's gone. It's cool. If you want, you can make this all completed. Since the data is completed, if you make this completed, and even if I make a page reload, you'll see in the local storage it's completed, but once it's get appended into the HTML, it's not showing as it's completed. So to solve this issue, we need to create a variable on show data on HTML. So let's create a variable called is completed. We need to add this. If it is completed, we need to add the text as true. If it is not, we need to make this as blank. So how we are going to check it? If todo dot status is equal to completed, just look at the case that we have used. It's completed, capital case. If it is completed, then append the text completed along with the input field, and for the paragraph, because you know we have created the class checked as same text. Hard refresh it. Now you can see this is on the page reload, it's showing completed. Even if I reload this page, it's going to stay same. Premiere Pro, Laravel, uncheck it, page reload, it's going to remain same. Now if I click on this, this should show up, but it's not able to allow, it's not allowing me to click. So we need to hide the CSS. On the CSS, we have added scale, get the edit menu. If the edit menu has class show, then only add this. Okay. Just save this and try refreshing it. Oh, I'm sorry, this should not be the case, but this should be the case. Cool. When I click on this, it should show up. So we need to again add a click event, Onclick event on the ellipse, and it should show menu. Create this function somewhere above the top. We'll be getting the element console.log. Once I click on it, get into the console, click on this element. Since we are getting this, we need to class list.add show, but where to show, where to add? It should be on edit menu. We need to traverse through the edit menu. Since we have we need to get into edit menu. Inside the settings, it's just next to the I tag. So next element sibling we can add dot next element sibling. Let's try if there is any. So click on it. Yes, I'm able to get this. So we need to add class to this next element sibling, and yes, it's showing up. But once I click on outside, it should go. So we need to add a event listener on document dot add event listener, which is click. We need to call the callback function fencjon. If the event, let's pass the e, if the event dot target is not equal to this element, then we can try removing it. Remove. Let's try. On click it should show up. If I click outside, it should get hide. On click it should show up. If I click outside, it should get hide. Cool. Let's just see whether the show and hide is properly working. Click on it. You see show got show up. If I click again, it's gone. Click it. It should be somewhere inside. The show is there on the edit menu. If I click outside, it should get disappear. Fine. Now let's work on the delete button. You see the delete button. I click on this delete button. So this shows up over here. So let's add a click event again. Once I click on the list item, delete task, we need to define it somewhere. Function. So the delete task, again you will be getting the element console.log element. Let's just check, get into the console. If I click on delete, yes, we got it. Now we need to get the ID. So we need to traverse through from the I tag, from the delete task dot parent element dot parent element dot parent element, 3 times dot parent element, dot parent element dot parent element dot parent element. So inside that, so previous element sibling, so we will be reaching. So this is first parent, this is second parent, and this is previous to the second parent, and inside that we have an input field to get the ID. Dot query selector input dot get attribute ID. Refresh it, console, click delete. Let's try the second one. Yep, we are able to get it. Now we need to get the array. So this array contains the local storage item, local storage dot, since it's an array, we can splice, splice, splice the index. We get the index from here, del id, delete this id and only one value, and then update the to-do list. So again we have this over here, update this to-do. Once the ID gets spliced out with this function, and then update the HTML as well. So show HTML, refresh this. Let's try deleting the Premiere Pro, delete, and yes, in the application tab you should not see Premiere Pro. Let me type something, let me try Premiere Pro again. Premiere Pro, click enter. Premiere Pro got added, and then Angular, click enter. Angular got added. So now I have completed Laravel, so the status changed to completed over here, and I wish to delete the Laravel. Click on delete, and yes, it shows up. Now we need to make this edit button work. So we have to, as always, we have to get into the portion where it's getting appended. So this is this code where it's getting appended. Now on click we need to pass two values. So previously we used DOM traversing to get the ID, but actually we can pass this ID in this way also. And this is update task, and we need the paragraph or the task as well. Now we are passing two parameters. Click on function, create a function, so we'll be getting two values, which is, the first one is ID and the second one is task. So we can console and check both the values. Are we receiving ID and task text together? So if I click on Premiere Pro, I should get ID. Sorry for that, missing on line number 51. Okay, I think there should be some error over here. On click update task, let's just see whether the update task is properly appended. After Effects and 0, yes. It's After Effects. Actually there was some appending issue. Now what I did is I have passed this inside round brackets, and since it's a string it has a space, so I have added a single quotes around this. Now I am able to get the values. We just type, click enter, and yes, click on edit. Laravel 2 and the word Laravel is there. Now we need to create two variable, is edited. Let me make this false, and I need let edit ID equal to nothing. Now once this is updated, we need to set this, once I click on update, we need to set this to true, and it's a global variable, that's why I'm defining at the top. You have to understand that. And I'm storing this into the ID. Since it's a global variable, we can access it in all functions. Let me hide these as of now to avoid confusion. So we are going to work on the update part, where the click event, yes, we are going to focus on this event. Now we have to update. So now what really will happen is, if I click on edit, I want the input field value. You'll see this is the input field. the input field value should get the value of the task dot value. Refresh it. If I click on edit, the premier flow should show up over here. So if I click on 2 and click enter, the problem is it's not getting edited but it's appending new. So in that case I have to set this to true. Now while appending, if it is true, else if the is edited is true, sorry, if it is false, then just do the same old way which you were doing, which is this lines of code. If it is false, that means it's newly edited. If it is true, then what we need to do, we need to get the ID. So the ID I have stored it as a globally. We have a ID here. Get the ID and use the to do. To do has an ID. Since it's an array with it's an object with array, we can access it with ID and change the name to the value which we receive right now over here, and then push this into an array, and the next step is going to get it will be saved and then it will get blank. Now if I click on Angular and if I make this Angular 2 and click enter, cannot read properties of undefined status on line number 49. So the error is on appending HTML. Let me just see whether the Angular 2 got appended or not. Angular 2 is there. Yes, it's there. You see, if I make this Premier 2, we need to make sure. If I make this Premier 2 is already there, you'll see at the bottom, you see it's there. If I make this Premier 3, this value should get converted to 3. Yes, this got converted to 3. And but the value is not getting appended, so it's inside the error is on the appending part. And once it's appended, we have to make sure this is false again, or else it will make an issue. Now let's fix this null while getting appended. So HTML console.log, it's showing up console if there is to do, then only show up, then only append this. Refresh it. Premier 3 Laravel. Let's just make this on line number 48. Yeah, on line number 48. Let me make this Laravel 2 and click on enter. You see Laravel 2 is getting appended. And so I think the part is working as we thought. Delete, 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 delete. So let me try learn React.js, click enter, learn Angular, click enter, learn After Effects, click enter. Now I have made a mistake, so I'll edit this. If I click on edit, invalid exception on line number 1. If I click on edit, it's not showing up. Update task. So I think there is problem with this slash. So let me type Angular 28. No, we don't need that. So let me just try editing this. Click on edit Angular 28, click enter. So it got updated. So if I make this completed and try editing this 29, click enter. It is getting updated. Now once, as we know, I have completed this, and let me remove this, delete, and it is there. Even after page refresh, it's going to remain the same. Now let us make this filter work. So let me add a task 2, click enter, and task 3. So to have some differentiating between the completed and pending. Now we have to make sure that the ID and the local storage values are same, including the case sensitive. You can see the completed C is capital, but the P for the pending is small. So we have to make that changes. C as capital and P as small. The reason is both should match, the pending and completed. So once this is done, we need to access the span tag with JavaScript. Since we have multiple span tag, it's query select all, filters, button, and we need to add a event listener on it. Since we have multiple buttons, we need to use forEach. We'll be accessing individual button v.id, just to see console.log v.id. We'll be accessing individual button with v. So click on completed, click on pending. Actually it's a event listener, v.add event listener, which is click, and the callback function, that means what should happen when I click. If I click on completed, completed shows up. And here we need to make slight modification on show HTML. So call this function, and we need to pass the ID. So it should access filter ID, Now we have access to the filter ID. Now based on the filter ID, we need to show the to-dos. So over here we have to make the modification. If the filter ID, it is either going to be pending or completed, if it is equal to the status, then just show only the completed part. Let me just check. All is not. If I click on pending, you can see only the pending task. If I click on completed, and or you can make or, if it is all, you have to make on page load. There is a function that calls this. By default it should be the text all over here as well. So all shows all. If I click on pending, only the pending task. If I click on completed, only the completed task. Again all. So if it is completed, and if I type something, task number 29, click enter, and it opens this as a all.